Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about the Cancer Cup. I'm going to be talking about which Umas are going to be the most effective, and I'm going to be talking about the map itself. So if you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing as it will help with the channel growth, and let's start with the video. So for the map itself, it's a right-handed racecourse in the summer season. It's a non-standard distance track because it's 2,200 meters. It's a Hanshin racecourse. And then it's a wet condition, so Top Road is not going to be as strong for this Champions meeting. It's still a very powerful card when it comes to generating speed and power, so you can use it as a stat stick. As for the green guts skill, it's going to be Cloudy Days. One note about Summer Runner, I believe it's better to get Summer Runner off of the Sparks than getting it from Fuji Kiseki Wet, since this card is going to be very hard to use, and it's not going to generate enough wet for you to hit very good stat lines. So in general, I would recommend that you should just get the Summer Runner from Sparks and just move on. As for the map itself, it is divided into 3 separate sections. I'm going to be covering them in the list of the early game, mid game, and late game. As for the early game, it begins at 0 meters, of course. It lasts all the way until 367 meters. The downhill lasts to 290 meters, which is very long. The uphill starts from 295 to 420, and the straight lasts until 420. As for the skill after school stroll and go home specialist, which is the gold version that is only exclusive to gold chip, it will activate very early on the race, which makes it an FE skill for a recovery. Since you are in the downhill mood, you will not consume as much stamina, so in general it becomes an FE skill to use. So it is fine to use on Christmas Ogre, but the gold version could be very FE to get the full value off of. As for the mid game, it starts from the 367th meter all the way to 1467th, which means that it lasts exactly 1100 meters throughout the race. The straight is still active until 420 meters, and this is actually very interesting because the straight is actually much longer compared to a lot of medium maps, and a skill like Leader Sprite for frontrunners actually has a lot more value compared to usual, because a lot of the skills will not activate very early, and Leader Sprite does activate very early on, so it could help you distance yourself from other frontrunners. The corners start from 420 meters all the way to 900 meters, and the second straight, of course, starts from 900 to 1250, and the third corner and beyond starts from 1200 to 1550. As for the late game, since the late game is instantly on the corner 3, that means that like Umas like Major Dobar, Major Ryan, and Senskai will proc their unique instantly, which of course is very strong. New Year Opera O's unique skill will proc before the final straight, which is something you should keep in mind if you are planning on using some sort of a niche guts strategy with this Champions meter. The downhill is actually very long, which means that technically speaking, straight descent and determined descent for pace chasers can technically work. However, if we go back to the early game, there is another downhill, which means that unfortunately it is a 50-50, and then you have to roll again for it to be in the good ratio over here for the downhill, which means that the pace chasers do not unfortunately have a good acceleration this time with straight descent. As for the stats and sparks, I would recommend the bare minimum you should try to go for is, of course, cap your speed, 800 stamina, at least get 1000 to both of your power and wit, and 600 guts. If you want to be more on the defensive side against Mystifying Murmur, you could buy a white recovery skill or buy Radiant Star if it is cheap enough. Where if you get like Max Hint Glittering Star, that means is that Radiant Star only costs 300. On Fast Learner, that's 260. You could consider buy Radiant Star. But what I would recommend is that you should try to at least make your power and width over 1100, because it is very strong, especially in the early game, since there is both a downhill and an uphill. So that is pretty much it when it comes to the stat thresholds. As for the sparks, the power and stamina sparks are the same pretty much, because in general it depends on what deck that you want to use. If you are going to be using a more focused power deck, then stamina sparks is going to be effective. If you're going for a unique deck, then stamina could have more value. If you do not have either, then the wet one is also fine. As for the pink sparks, it's very obvious. Distance is always very important, and pretty much is more important compared to turf and strategy, unless it's sprint in some maps. Then you have turf and your specific strategy pink spark. Those are actually very interesting because both are very effective, especially the strategy one, because the downhills are actually relatively long. You can roll better downhill mode with strategy S compared to strategy A, and turf also helps you in acceleration. As for the universal skills, it's actually very simple. Front runner, straights, enclosure corners, medium corners, these types of skills are always great value. Tel health high is very good. Ramp up is also very effective. If you are using Mr. CB and Marvelous Sunday, you have a really decent chance of you getting Tel health high. And ramp up, you can get it from Marvelous Sunday, and also you can get it from an event that is in the Make a New Track scenario that can randomly give you ramp up. The skills on the right are good skills, but they are unfortunately hard to obtain, such as Slipstream. Nobody really loops Slipstream, and probably no one will ever loop Slipstream until we get the Decato Helios speed card that has the gold version of this skill. Then people will probably start looping this skill. As for Summer Runner, the only card that gives you Summer Runner is going to be Fujikiseki Wet. However, like I said, it's better to just get it off of Sparks than decking that card on your deck. Then you have Playtime's Over. Playtime's Over still is not relevant that much in parenting, and you can get it from the Yukunu Bijin, but you gotta roll it twice, and if it's not on your deck, it's going to be very rare. I will probably not try to go super hard on Playtime's Over unless you have it on your legacy. If you have it on your legacy, then you always should buy Playtime's Over. As for the unique skills, you of course have Miracle of Blessings, which is a very good skill for the medium and long distance tracks, and for the non-front runners, you have Shadow Break and Triumphant Pulse. Then you actually have Measure Arden. Measure Arden's unique skill is actually very effective. What it does is that if there is an Uma that is behind you for 1 second in the final straight, you get 0.25 target speed increase but consume more stamina. The stamina consumption is essentially white debuff skill, so if you are planning on using this skill, you could consider just putting extra bit of stamina so that you don't get punished for it. However, this is a good defensive skill in the final straight. As for the skills to get as frontrunners, I think it's very easy. Groundwork, taking the lead, must have skills, and the skills that you always want to look out for is Up Tempo, Leader's Pride, very strong, especially Leader's Pride earlier on, because it can activate very early on in the early mid game. Ignited Spirit Wet is very strong. Prudent Positioning, Dodging Danger are also two good skills. And Fast Paced, Up Tempos, those two skills are mid game skills that can go as a speed carry over if they proc late enough. If they proc in the mid game, that's a good skill too. So frontrunners are always going to be good for this Champions meeting. As for the unique skills, to get as your front runner, angling and scheming is a must-have skill. It's the only reliable acceleration that you have. Kiss of Courage is very good for the mid game, and Operation Cacao is also very good for the mid game, and Operation Cacao could be used as an anchor to proc a Kiss of Courage. As for the skills to get as a Pace Chaser, it's very simple. Unfortunately, Pace Chasers just do not have relevant like acceleration skills for this champion's beating. They have Nimble Navigator and Head On. These two skills are fine. These are like Head On specifically is not a reliable skill, but unfortunately, like I said, Pace Chasers do not really have a reliable acceleration. They still can win though, because you have higher speed correlation compared to front runners. All I've got is a good skill for the final straight. Umamusume is very good. Up tempo is also very good. If you have excessive SP, then try to double circle anything that you can. As for the unique skills, I think I don't need to mention how homeless Pace Chasers have it when it comes to unique skills. You should probably just go with Triumphant Pulse, Shadow Break, or Oracle of Blessings and just go from there, I guess. As for the skills to get as a late surgers, you must try to always get Umamusume. It's very good, and for every medium and long distance track, it is very strong. As for the good skills, 1,500,000 CC is very strong. Nimble Navigator is also very good. Has a secondary acceleration only. All I've got is good. If you have Spare SP, Possession Playfair, and Outer Swell is also very good. However, there is a skill that I would not recommend you ever put on your late surger, and that is Full Throttle. Full Throttle right now is not it. This is pretty much a Christmas Ogre exclusive skill because it drains 0.04 or 4% of your stamina as a late surger. This is way too much, so I would not recommend you put Full Throttle right now until that gets buffed later. Keep in mind, again, if you have a lot of stamina, like over 1,000 or 1,050, maybe you could slot in Full Throttle, but I would not recommend it for the most part. As for the skills to get for the enclosers, I think this one is very simple. Umamusume, a must on enclosers, and Daring Strike. You have to get Daring Strike or your enclosers is not going to be good enough for the most part. Daring Strike is very good, especially in front heavy lobbies. Good skills are always going to be All I've Got, and Nimble Navigator has your secondary acceleration. As for the unique skills to get for the backliners, being late surgers and enclosers, Let's Pump Some Iron is going to be very good from Measure Ryan. Moving Past and Beyond is very effective too from Measure Dober. And for the camping version of Measure Dober, wherever this wonder leads, is also a decent skill for Inheritance, because it's actually a guaranteed speed carryover for this champion's meaning. How this unique skill works is that after the 60th percent distance of the race, if there is a downhill, provided that you are in the mid game, that you are 4th to 7th place position, and there is 500 meters left, you get a 0.15 target speed increase. For Measure Dober herself, it's a 0.35. This is the inherited version, and as you can clearly see, it's actually a speed carryover, so this is very strong. As for the decks to consider, pretty much you will have a lot of options, but the two most common decks that you will see is either going to be 2 speed, 1 stamina, 3 wit, and you replace with Throne if you are bothering with Throne. It's 2 speed, 2 power, 2 wit, and replace a wit card with Throne. It's very strong. The Throne is very good. If you are bothering, of course, with Throne, you could just always just not use Throne and just toss your aces and just ignore the fact that Throne even exists. But here are the results pretty much. This is my champions beating 13, Mihama Bourbon. Was close to max speed and power, but unfortunately I failed the training. That was like 1% training failed, by the way, so I couldn't cap neither my speed or power. Unfortunately that happens, but it is what it is. The wit was close to max, and as you can clearly see, my stamina was 874, so very strong. My sparks was 17 star power sparks, because I have a lot of power sparks just sitting around on my account. Unfortunately, I do not have stamina, which means I'm probably cooked for Grand Life. While the decks seem like, oh, this guy looks like a spender, what am I looking at? Keep in mind that I'm a long-term player, so unfortunately my deck would be more like advanced compared to most other people. However, if you are a long-term player and you have this deck, you could probably have similar results as mine. As for this deck, however, this is actually more relatively newish deck for this Champions League, because you could have run for the reroll of the Kita-san banner, same for my Fun Motion, and you had Mr. CB. You only really needed one LB Mr. CB. This is an inclusive player, so they decided to max limit break it. That is of course fine, but the stats is actually very good. Max speed, close to max power, and over 1000 wit, so very very respectable. And as you can clearly see, the stamina, power, and wit, it was not really the most crazy parents. If you have good parents with good sparks, then you will actually hit much better stats. And keep in mind that some runs in Mickey Track are just truly gifted, and you could actually get a UG run with much better stats just randomly with an even worse deck, because it is Mickey Track, and of course this is a very high roll scenario, especially on the summer. If you are bothering rebuilding with Throne, you should know what Throne does. Throne is pretty much the best card in the game until we start going into Grand Life, but this card is crazy. The 2 skill point bonus effect happens after your bond gauge is 80 or above, which of course is going to take some time to trigger, but it will happen eventually. It has a very good friendship bonus because this card can get into the Rainbow Training status, which of course is very good, and 10% race bonus, so already off to a really good start. And actually an underrated thing is that it had 35 initial friendship gauge. Keep in mind, Throne is not a card that you pull for. This is a borrow card, so your borrow slot will be locked if you're rebuilding with Throne. As for the events, it's very busted in general. You will have full throttle. While I do not recommend it, if you have a lot of extra stamina, you can pick the skill. Fighting Spirit, relatively iffy skill, but as you can clearly see, you get some energy, a lot of wit over here, some decent amount of energy, some skill points, and for front runners you have a guaranteed positioning, which is crazy. That means is that you only need to get dodging danger off of the rival races, because this card will pretty much get their dating event almost every single time. There has been events where it just doesn't show up, but the chances is relatively low, but the dates of this card is very strong. And finally, once you finish out the complete dates and unlock the final date, it's very good. You get some speed, a lot of wit, decent amount of skill points. You get refraction arc, which is the reason why you are rebuilding in the first place, because it's gold medium corners. It's very strong. And then you get the status effects, which allows Throne to be friendship trained with, which of course is very good. And as you can clearly see, after you train with Throne, you get 18 wit, so it's already very good. And then when you are training randomly with Throne, sometimes you could get an event that gives you extra speed, extra wit, or restore some energy such skill points. But if Throne is on the pure passion Heroes of the Throne status, where if you have like the status effect of this card, you will get guaranteed wit, guaranteed skill points. Same could be said with the medium and bottom options, so it's very effective. As for the finale, if you are max bond, you get an additional 24 speed, 24 wit, and 24 skill points. The skill points is okay, but the speed and wit is actually very strong, because if you enter the finals with like 1100 speed, you know, oh, one wit click, I know for a fact that I'm going to cap, because how it works is that let's say you are at like 50% race bonus. You will pop the 3 hammers, so it's a 20 plus 20 plus 20, that's 60. The final is plus 10, that's 70. And with this event, you get 24, so you get 49 speed and wit at the end. It's very strong. It could make you, oh, I'm not going to click speed this time because I actually have a stronger power click or a stamina click. It just depends on how you can like move around with that finales. As for the gold skill, it's gold medium corners. It's very, very, very strong. Trust me when I say this, it's definitely going to win you a lot of rooms. As for the strategies, you of course have runaway plus 2 front runners. This is the standard composition for the meta front runner players if you're looking to get the highest win rates with front runners. However, this is a Christmas Ogre cap, so pretty much if you are looking for the highest win rate, you probably just want to play Valentine Mihano Bourbon, Summer Marazensky, and Christmas Ogre cap. Those three will probably have the most win rate off of any other strategy in this champions meeting. As for the other strategies that you could also consider is either 2 front, 2 pace, 1 late surgers, or enclosers. You should not try to run more than 1 encloser or a late surger, because trust me when I say this, 2 enclosers or late surgers can be effy. If you get a front heavy lobby, then you essentially lost, because you will be not in the position to get any of your skills. So at least building 2 fronts will be very good. Same could be said with space chasers, because in the event where you do not get any front runners and it's a backliner heavy lobby, then at least you can have a lucky pace on your team, so it's actually going to be fine. But running 2 late surgers or an encloser is going to be relatively difficult, and you will lose probably sometimes for front heavy lobbies. As for the meta Umas, or like the Umas that I think are going to perform the best, do not worry if your Oshi does not appear here. It's okay, you can still run her. Those are just like my opinion on the Umas that will have the most success in this champions meeting. And of course, the first one is going to be Christmas Ogre Cap, because this is a Christmas Ogre Cap map. She only had 3 skills instead of 4 that she had in champions meeting 12, where you could have inherited Uma squared. Now this time you have to pick 777s, because it is the only skill that procs late enough to get a lot of value off of her Festival Miracle unique skill. Corner recovery is also very, very good, because it will activate pretty much on the first corner, and it will be very good, has a consistent skill that just does not have any random variables. And for the other skills that you can buy, it depends on your strategy. If you are looking to be a pace chaser, then Hydrate is good. If you are looking to play a late surgers, then Be Still is fine. But I would not recommend playing late surger Christmas Ogre Cap, because she is not really that good as a late surger. My opinion is that she is just better as a pace chaser or an encloser. And after school stroll for the encloser Christmas Ogre Cap, of course, is going to be relatively strong. Then we have Valentine Mihano Bourbon, and as I can clearly see, there's a lot going on. If you are bothering building with Throne, and you are a player that probably is a spender, or you rolled on the rerun Kita-san Black banner, you have a very, very, very good potential to make a very strong Valentine Mihano Bourbon that is pretty much undefeatable. You have with this deck 5 mid-game skills worth of 0.35 target speed increase, because of Variation Cacao, Refraction Arc, Professor of Curvature, Escape Artist, and Killer Tunes. And Valentine Mihano Bourbon, if you do not have El Condor Pasa Power, that is still fine. It's 4 skills mid-game, very, very effective, and trust me when I say this, Valentine Mihano Bourbon will actually be very, very good for this champions meeting. And for Summer Marazensky, you can always just remove Killer Tunes and Escape Artist. Summer Marazensky will have 3 skills that is still also very effective. As for Kita-san Black and Measure Dober, Kita-san Black is actually very, very funny, because her unique skill legitimately lasts 2 seconds. Like, not even 2 seconds, 2 meters into the late game. It's like 0.05 seconds left of Kita-san Black's unique skill. She gets speed carryover of a 0.25. So it's actually very, 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 very good. If you can get Kita-san Black this unique skill and she is second place, she can actually overtake and become first, get some speed carryover, and also proc angling and scheming, and just win from there. It's very, very strong for Kita-san Black, and she also has innate taking the lead, so you don't need to use the Mihano Bourbon wet card. As for Camping Dober is very strong, because her unique skill is guaranteed 0.35 target speed increase carryover, which is very strong for late searchers and enclosers since they accelerate faster than front runners and pace chasers. And then you have Gold Chip. Gold Chip is probably the only encloser that can consistently fight back in front heavy lobbies. Because of her unique skill and daring strike, she can still have a long duration of pretty much target speed increase, and she will catch up to the other front runners more reliably compared to any other encloser. So Gold Chip is actually still going to be very good for this Champions Meeting too. As for my thoughts on this Champions Meeting 15 so far looks to be a Champions Meeting where it is a frontrunners versus Christmas Ogre recap, and it's going to be difficult for late searchers and enclosers to win some rooms, or some matches. However, if you were running like a Gold Chip or an Uma that has a good skill for their position as a late searcher or an encloser, they can do fine. Christmas Ogre Cap has a very good likelihood to proc her unique skill with 777 because she has a guaranteed speed carryover into acceleration, which of course is very, very strong. As for my team, I tried to run Major Palmer and Valentine Mihono Bourbon in Champions Meeting 14, and unfortunately did not perform like what I thought. I thought I would average to about 80%, but unfortunately that Champions Meeting or Champions Meeting 14, the finals is going to be tomorrow as of the recording of this video. I unfortunately got only 72% win rate, so unfortunately it's not as high as I hoped to be, but that means that I unfortunately would run Valentine Mihono Bourbon solo ace again until we get to Grand Life, and then I reconsider, because Major Palmer's unique skill is just close to impossible to trigger if there is another frontrunner. If you are Valentine Mihono Bourbon and Major Palmer alone, two front, she procs her unique. Otherwise, she just doesn't proc it, unfortunately. And that's pretty much it for the strategy, and that is pretty much it for the video. If you found this video to be helpful, consider letting me know in the comment sections what I could improve on, moving on from the next couple of Champions Meetings, and consider joining the community server linked in the comment section, and I hope to see you in the next one.